Um, I feel like I understand what you all are saying, but it seems like when I explained to Hank the very first time how I would confront it and how I would address it, Hank was low key not because I wasn't coming off disrespectful. I'm telling you how I feel. And I feel like when I say that, y'all like you're nagging. Telling you how I feel is not nagging. Explaining to you how this is mentally and emotionally affecting me because I'm an emotional being and I got to make sure I keep this house under control while you gone. I got to make sure let them. I have to while you out working that overtime to make up that $250,000. I have to make sure that everything here is copacetic. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say I'm going to help. I do agree. I feel like letting him just fix it on his own and he's asking me to help or I know I can help, it's just going to make it worse on our family. It's going to make it worse on the kids, all that. I said that. I just said that just realistically speaking, because it seems like whenever I had to go back and explain why I was thinking the way I was thinking, people would switch the scenario to fit what they had to say and to fit what they thought. I'm sticking to the specific scenario. So I'm assuming, especially since we've been together for so many years, whoever, that he knows how to deal with me. He knows how to deal with my emotions. We know how to communicate. So, yes, I'm going to tell you I'm hurt. I'm going to tell you that I'm hurt that I brought this to you and you completely disregarded me. I'm hurt that we don't know how we're going to pay rent next month. But I know we got this. I know as long as we pray and we do what we got to do, we got this. But I'm emotional and I'm going to be realistic about my emotions. And I expect for my man to know how to deal with that. I'm not going to nag him about it. Going waking up the next day, can't eat, can't pay rent next month. No, I didn't say that. I said I'm going to come to him as a woman, not as soon as it happened. He's like, oh, we lost it. This ain't the right time. I'm gonna just be quiet probably for the next week, 2 weeks, whatever, until my man is
Okay.
calm and ready to receive me. Until I'm calm and ready to say it in a manner that he can receive what I'm saying.
JR,
But
can I
then,
ask you a question after she
but I
finishes?
think it's unrealistic for just everybody to be like, "Oh, you shouldn't say anything." Like, no, we're a safe space for each other. I should be able to share how I feel, and as a woman, any woman would feel anything. But like I said, I didn't say I was gonna snap on him right there. I'm gonna give it time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it in a respectful manner.
I think that
JR,
the
can I let me just ask JR this question? I promise, Viz, I'm done. So JR, you had mentioned something. You said how what Di said. You said how can you expect a man to continue to lead if you were going to go at him right after? So on the flip side of that, using the scenario that we were talking about, I guess the other question on the opposite end would be how can you expect the woman to continue to trust your leadership when you aren't including her in the decision making and putting the family at risk from making unilateral decisions.
so when I make that statement, it wasn't to pin anybody against each other. It's just nearly to highlight the point of effective communicating um, on the listening side as well as the speaking side. Like there's a healthy way that you can communicate with one another to make sure that both of y'all thrive. And I think that if y'all factor that in, like even when her talking, she like, well, he knows I'm emotional, so he knows that I'm going to come with him with emotions. Who's to say that that's even? Have you even asked them how do you feel when I come to you emotional all the time?
Hmm.
No, he may say I don't like it. And then if he says he doesn't like it, then what? Are you
Hmm.
going to say, well, we're not compatible because you have to accept that I'm an emotional person? Just because you're emotional doesn't mean that it's healthy. Like it doesn't mean that it's warranted. So that's why you have to, he should be expressing himself to say, hey, I understand that you're emotional. Like I can only deal with so many If somebody's coming and they're just dumping every single time, it can be draining. But you have to understand, you have to come outside of your body and factor in that this may not be what he wants all the time. Because even when I hear you talk, it's like he needs to understand he has to value me. He has to do this. He has to do that. I'm just wondering if he's walking around saying the same thing. She has to do this. She has to do that. Because I would tell him the same thing. Like you got to be more realistic as far as what a relationship really entails. But okay.
And also, especially in a marriage, in a
Uh,
relationship,
Fine,
like
agree.
you
Wait,
gotta
hold
choose
on.
your battles. You have to
and
choose your
flies in.
battles. Everything is not an argument every time. You got to see what's worth it. You know, if that $250,000 is worth arguing with your husband afterwards, it's not worth it because y'all still in the same boat and y'all still got to move forward. So you just got to choose your battles also, Die, because everything doesn't have to be an emotional conversation and it have to be addressed. It's
and
because
and
it's not worth it. When you living with somebody for the rest of your life, you cannot wake up every day on mad day to address everything that it is, you know? You just got to
even
choose your
even to
battles.
keep
I'll leave it
even
there.
to keep saying that I'm an emotional being. Women are emotional beings. That's essentially you justifying you being able to say whatever the fuck it is that you feel in that moment. So it's one of those deals of where once you say something, you can't unsay it. It can't be unheard. So when you're in this emotional state, you're upset or whatever, and you just rambling, you're nagging, then that's going to have some type of effect on that man. So just like Hink said, because I was tuning in earlier, just how he said, if the shit goes wrong, then it goes wrong. If it goes right, it goes right. You know what I'm saying? Whose side are you on? Either you're with me or you're against me. You know what I'm saying? Either we're in this together or we're not. But to use me being emotional, I'm emotional and I should be able to say whatever I feel in that moment. Like that's, in my opinion, that's sabotaging the relationship because no man, even if that is something that man is into, no man over time especially is going to be comfortable or okay with receiving that from the woman that he's supposed to be able to trust and confide in and spend the rest of his days with, because at some point you're going to keep stretching and keep pushing the boundaries of those emotions because you've made it clear that this is something that you do.
It's a difference from communicating emotionally and communicating emotions, right? So, for instance, I can come to you, babe, this really hurt us. I promise you. Like, how could you do this? I told you to do this. I told you to put this, and this. Da 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 da. Babe, this really kind of hurting us. I'm dealing with an extra load right now. It's the kids. They doing this. They doing this. This decision kind of affected us, and I low key laid it out. But and he could tell me, like y'all said, that makes me feel some type of way. I'm sorry. Let me just focus like on the reason why I came here. I'm just emotionally overwhelmed right now. Maybe I need a hug. Maybe I need a little bit of reassurance because losing 250,000, and like y'all said, you don't want to communicate emotionally about every little thing. I didn't say every little thing. I was talking about specifically this situation, and like I just stated when I first said it, if it takes me 2 weeks, I'm very observative. So if I can notice if you're still feeling some type of way. I can notice if you're ready to receive me. I spoke about this earlier in the show, effective communication. I'm not communicating just to be emotional, but I want to be effective. I want you to understand my worries because, like she said, it's going to build some trust issues. I want you to understand how I feel, and I might need a little reassurance. That's probably what I need in that moment. If I was in that moment, I'm guessing if I'm emotional, I know because I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm knowing if I'm going to him, it's 9 times out of 10 for reassurance.
Well, let me
Okay,
just say
I think
this.
I think go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say, everybody on this panel, we all have emotions. We're all human, right? But you have to know, just like we've said on here before, you have to know what to say, when to say it. Same thing with your emotions. You have to know when to take your emotions out of it and get to the bottom line. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it, like I told you, it's okay to express your feelings, communicate, but you got to know when to pull back on some of those things when it comes to your emotions. That's it. Just, cut the fat a little bit. That's all.
and
And I
hold on,
agree.
hold on.
That's
Yeah.
why I gave examples of the toxicity on how you can communicate
Well, we
those
gotta
emotions and those lack of trust issues.